love. Greetings, greetings, greetings. Welcome to Soul Power Tennis. Soul Power Tennis. Let me check my sounds. See if it's a big difference from here to here, from here to here, if it all sounds the same, because it's actually the camera microphone. Just a moment. No, this mic is live. All right. Welcome you all. You like the colors? Yeah. That's the logo in the background. Actually, that's not what I wanted to do. I actually wanted to do something different. I wanted to do, pardon me, you all, wanted to do something a little different. I actually wanted to do this. Do these. Greetings, everybody. Welcome. Please like, subscribe, share as you come in, as we begin. And yeah, I think, boom, that goes like that. This is going to be a more brief broadcast. There we go. That's what I was looking for. Yes, say no more. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. That's what I was looking for right there. All right, now, how we doing? How about we do, should we do this for the background? Should we do that for the background? Shall we do that for the background? I like those colors better. So we're gonna go with there. And yeah, you like the vibratory tones. Cool. So we're here. Welcome to Soul Power Tennis. My name is Akmo Sari, and happy February, happy Black Future Month. 'Tis the season for the reason, and we're here. Pardon me, a little bit on the late night tip. Usually I would do a tennis broadcast earlier in the day. Well, that's not true. That's partially true. Earlier in this year, in January, and even into February, I was doing the Australian Open watch-along matches at various hours of the day and evening. So check out these broadcasts. Check out those broadcasts. The finals, the women's final, has almost 2,000 views. And that was interesting. That was an interesting experience. But that's that. We're here today, 2 days before the Love Day. But for me, every day is the Love Day. I like that behind my head like that. That's how it's supposed to be right there. Yeah, with the ball and everything, because that's my Soul Power Tennis logo. Let me do this as well. I'm feeling good in the moment. My food is starting to settle in, and I'm starting to feel nourished bit by bit. And that's a blessing. So yeah, if we do that, that might be a bit too much. But if I take away this banner, I'm just trying some things out, you all. This is how we grow. I like that. I like that. And then if I did this, it's all real time. This is my first time doing this. So if we did, let's do, no, that's the overlay. Boom, boom, boom. Boom, boom, boom. For some reason, I got to say that at one point in the broadcast. So, oh, I know what it is. Let's do this. Let's go virtual background, but instead, let's go with this instead. Is that the same thing that I just did? Might be the same thing. Let's do this instead. There we go. There we go. There we go again. Okay. Yeah, I think that works. That will work for now. All right. So we're here. I'm feeling good. I like that logo on the screen like that. That is so spectacular, I must say. Lovely. As that is right above my head as the sun shines and shiggles. Yes. Okay. Now we're looking like the pros. Now you're looking like the pros, kiddo. You're doing good. You're doing great, actually. All right. We're here to pay some homage to the great Venus Williams. Big ups to her mother, Oracene, and to her sister, Serena. But this particular broadcast is going to be a shorter broadcast and just highlighting her and her father, Richard. So we do it because of two reasons. About a year ago, the film King Richard won an Oscar, Richard was played by Will Smith, who won the best lead actor in a film, rightfully so. And Venus and Serena were in the house that infamous classic evening. And, it's Black Future Month and Black History Month. So we want to pay homage to the greats of the sport. And sometimes we'll put a different spin on it, but we're talking about the contributions of foundational Black Americans to the sport. So that's what the Williams family is or are. And that's what we're paying homage to. So 1 year later, just about during this specific month, we're going to, pay homage. And so this came to me because earlier today, I don't know where I was at. I was underneath a rock. I thought that I had heard that Venus Williams had gotten a wild card into a tournament to start this year. And I lost sight of it, lost track of it, about how that wild card match went, or how the match went in the first round. And then randomly today, it popped up on my feed. And so we're just going to review a little bit of that match. And the reason why we're going to review a little bit of that match is because, listen, Venus Williams is 42 years mature. And I was doing some research earlier before I started the broadcast, and I was trying to find out what professional athlete has played the longest amount of time. And they had put up some tennis player had 27 years, and Willie Mays had 25, in baseball, and some other people. As it stands now, you heard it here first. From what I saw and what I know, that would be Venus Williams. Venus Williams has just entered her 30th season, 30th year playing professional tennis. She turned pro on October 31st, 1994. We're now in 2023. So that means this would be the 30th year, essentially. I mean, you can say, well, no, it would be after, technically it would be after October 31st this year, and then that'll be 30. However it is you want to, slice it and dice it or address it. She's at about 30. She's got more than 27. So Venus Williams has played the longest out of any professional athlete ever in the history of professional sports. If I'm incorrect, please correct. I apologize. Let me check my sounds. Yeah, if I'm incorrect, I apologize. But if I'm correct, you gotta let it be, and you gotta rock with me. So salute to the Queen, Queen V. Um, you know, and let me see something real quick. Let me see something real quick. Give me just a moment, you all. What we're gonna do is we're gonna have a look-see at that match. That's a great picture of her. She's a star. Venus Ebony Star Williams. That's right. Yep, yep, yep. Yep, yep, yep. Born June 17th, 1980. She's an 80s baby, y'all. Just like me. So that's that. That's that. So we're going to have a look-see at the match, the first round match in Auckland. I want to say Auckland is in New Zealand. Let's verify that. Pretty sure, and not in Australia. But I know my geography pretty well. Yep. So it's Auckland, New Zealand. But in that territory of the Greater Polynesia. So this is a tournament that she played earlier this year, about a month ago, almost exactly. And it's a first round match against a quality opponent. And apparently it was a classic match. Now, we're not going to play all of it. This footage is on the WTA YouTube website. And as you can see, we're viewing this on Tennis Insider. So we got to give credit where credit is due. It says Katie Volynets USA versus Venus Williams USA 2023 ASB Classic Round 1. Is it a classic because the tournament is called classic, or is it a classic match? So you can see Venus even responded to this video and says, thanks for uploading this ×3. Or that symbol 3. Which is awesome. And they pinned her comment. And then I clicked on that and verified that that is Venus Williams. This is her official channel. So if I'm correct, if I'm incorrect, then I'm incorrect. But this is her channel. So Venus caught wind. That's a beautiful. Venus caught wind of this being uploaded, and gave a little bit of love. So and I gave him a little bit of love too. So let's like that as well. And yeah, so we're just gonna have a little watch along, and we're gonna take out the audio and just watch a few points. It's just amazing with what Venus is doing here. So let's have a look-see. It's just amazing that, pardon me, 42 years mature. And I mean, she was playing tennis probably before this player who she's playing against was even born. This is my first time hearing about this player. And I think this player is actually 21. So Venus was already like a veteran, well-to-do veteran in the game, when this young lady was even born. And so if she's 21 and Venus is 42, Venus is literally old enough to be her mother. So she's literally playing against a woman who could be her mother. So we're just showing some of the points. Just going to fast forward just a little bit. Fair use, fair use. I apologize if it's breaking up a little bit. And so let's play a little bit of audio so you can hear the grinding.
That's
a little bit more, just a moment. Very competitive match. Trying to get one of these long rallies going. They're in the tie break now, first set. Okay, I want one of these long rallies. Let's go, people. I definitely saw it earlier. Here we go.
Oh, she made it.
She made it. She made it because I was on the line. So yeah, this was earlier this year in Auckland, New Zealand. Venus Williams, age 42. There's something special about a brown-skinned woman with purple adorned on her body. Let's get it off the line. There you go. That was a winner. So Venus takes, let's fast forward a little bit. Venus takes, let's see, here we go. Good fight back.
With the win picking.
Gets it to 6-4. Now, for a woman to be playing this level of tennis at 42 is amazing. And she's playing against a woman whose last name is Volley Nets. If you have a last name named Volley Nets, it's pretty much a sealed fate that you're going to become a professional tennis player. I mean, come on, Volley Nets. If you're not a professional tennis player, maybe, pardon me, let me slow down. I'm getting excited. If you're not a professional tennis player, what else could you possibly be? A volleyball player? Something dealing with volley and the nets. And so it's only fitting that this young lady who is a compatriot of Venus, who's an American, has that name and is playing the professional sport of tennis. So Venus with a little bit of strut, and yeah, just
not good enough.
Just and the young lady Volley Nets has on some pink purple sneakers or tennis shoes to be fitting for this occasion.
Oh, she's made it.
Where's my button at? Where's my button at? We gotta pay some homage. Let me see which one it is. Just a moment. No, that's not it. Where are we at? Nope, that's not it. Is it this one?
Oh, it's a good one,
Yeah, there we go. Again.
Oh, it's a good one,
Yeah, it's a good one. It tastes pretty good. That was a good point. Venus almost bageled her. That would have been so awesome if she did that, but it wasn't to be. Didn't even get the breadstick, but got the swan instead. Venus is a swan, to be honest. And this is match point Williams.
And in her 30th year on the Homage WTA Tour, Venus Williams begins her 2023 campaign off on a super note. She takes out Nets in straight sets, a popular figure.
A popular figure indeed. The beautiful, the lovely Venus Williams, you all. There you have it. Beautiful. All right, all right. Any thoughts? So, Venus is my peer. I'm 42. She's 42. We've essentially grown up together from a distance or came of age, and me finding out and watching tennis. And I've been watching tennis now for just over 30 years. So I started watching tennis when Venus Williams was, essentially turning pro. For me, I recall it being 1992. So now we're going on 31 years. But around the same time that Venus was about to or trying to turn pro. So, there's something succinct or running concurrent with that. And it's been a blessing and an honor. And let's do this because my camera decided to go bye-bye for the evening. So we're going to do this instead. Let's do this. Hold on. Pardon me, you all. Give me just a moment. I want that to be my camera. Yes. Okay. Are you going to turn on or what? This thing doesn't want to turn. I guess because I'm not able to use HD. Give me just a moment, you all. Okay, now I can do it if I'm correct. No, for some reason it's not letting me do that. Anyway, moving onward. You don't need to see my face at the present moment. We're going to continue onward, and we're now going to watch a little bit of an interview of Richard Williams that took place some years ago. And I find it very, very interesting and awesome. So let's have a look-see. Give me just a moment as I pull that up. And again, as you come in, please make sure you like, subscribe, share, click the notification bell, because we're growing things here. And I would like to, put more content and material on this channel. And right now I'm just, focusing in on my main channel and just making sure things are squared away. And right now the Super Bowl is going on, and, but yet still I started doing some broadcasting earlier when the Super Bowl started, and I'm finishing my evening doing some broadcasting as the Super Bowl ends, because it's just a bowl of spoiled milk with some toxic flakes in it. And I don't trust the Super Bowl live show. I think it's just, I think it's a bag of tricks and persuasion, and not good persuasion. So that is that. And let's do this. See, is that up there? Yep, that is good. That works. All right. So what I'm going to play now is a little snippet of an interview that was done by Q with Tom Power broadcast. This is Richard Williams on Raising Champions. Let's read a little bit about what's going on here. Let me see. Wishfully you can see that on the screen. There you go. Now you can see it on the screen. All right. So again, this is the Richard Williams on Raising Champions Q with Tom Power. It reads, Richard Williams joins guest host Piya Chattopadhyay to discuss his new memoir, Black and White, which chronicles his extraordinary life and his relationship with his daughters and tennis superstars Venus and Serena Williams. Now, I've watched this interview several times already. This is Q is a magazine show that is unpredictable in the best sense. Yeah, this is very, very true. They are Canadian based. And this interview is a very, very interesting interview, as I watched it several times. And I'm not going to play all of it because, again, this is meant to be a shorter broadcast. And it's quite a bit to bite on and chew. And it's a late night. And so, I'm not going to bite off and chew too much. But let's get into it. This is fair use, providing some edutainment for the tennis channel, folks. Being my channel, Soul Power Tennis. Let's enjoy.
Talk with Richard Williams, who joins us here in studio. Hello.
Hello, Pierce. How you doing?
I'm doing okay. How are you doing?
Thank you so much for having me here.
Well, it's nice to have you here in
He's
Toronto.
nice
On your
to
show,
share.
it's become a big time, and now I feel like a big time. I just forget.
I think you were a big time before you landed here. I want to first just say congratulations on this book. And I want to ask you about your decision, tell your story now. Why did it feel like the right time?
Actually, that's a great question. Serena had been pushing me to put my book out. My son had been pushing me to put my book out. And I thought it would be a great time to tell people about me, because I think people had the wrong conception, idea about me. And I thought this would be a great time. And so about 2 years ago, we started putting the material back together to put it out.
Now, this is not a recent interview. This interview is from November 12th, 2014. All right. So we're talking about this was over 8 years ago. So not very recent. Let's enjoy.
Okay, we'll talk about the views that people have about you and the misconceptions, as you say, in a bit. But I mean, you are famous in the tennis world. I can't think of a tennis parent that's more famous than you, and not just only because of your extraordinary daughters, but your own story, which is really where I want to begin our conversation. As I mentioned, you grew up poor, very poor in Louisiana. You faced extreme violence and racism. When you set out to write this book, and over the past 2 years writing it, I mean, was it painful to relive some of those memories?
Some things were so painful I wouldn't write about it. Some of it was very joyful. I would say about 80% of it was very joyful because whatever took place in my life, my mom taught me that whatever I expected from myself, that's what I could be. And I always expected to be well off. But it never looked like I'm going to be well off because, as you say, I picked cotton. And I used to pick some cotton, so I remember periods that at times didn't look like I was going to ever get out of a cotton field. It was so far.
My apologies. I'm talking and you all couldn't even hear me. I was saying that the reason why I was saying that the past is not that far away, and that I'm only in my early 40s, and that my mother grew up picking cotton until she was 18 years old. So my mother grew up picking cotton until she was an adult in the South. And my grandfather was a sharecropper. So, the ways of being that dominated this country don't go away so quickly and so easily, and they still exist. But, not going to go down that road of, talking about that topic matter. But we do want to just, add some further context and highlight this man and his great work. Specifically in this broadcast, we're focusing in on Venus, which we started with, and her father, Richard, and the rest of the family salute. But it's been a year after the film that was dedicated to his life and his journey won an Oscar, rightfully so. And so we're paying homage to the man, and right now they're getting into his life story. So let's continue to have a look-see and a listen. But, just wanted to add some further context in terms of, our experience as Black Americans and foundational Black Americans, and our journey in this country, not that far away, but what shall the future hold? And I also have aspirations of, being, as he said, well off. I like to say well on, but let's continue to listen. Thank you.
And what's interesting about that was that cotton made me who I am today.
What do you mean by that?
See, I don't know.
What's interesting is that he said cotton made him the man that he is today. The thing about that is when I hear that, what's his name? What's his nickname? Feel free to leave it in the chat. His nickname is what the film was called, King Richard. Now, if you know about American history, you know that cotton has a nickname or a nickname term. It's called Cotton is King. So it's interesting that Cotton is king, and this is King Richard, and he's saying that cotton helped make him into the man that he is today. No coincidence. I just find that something that was succinct or just flowed together, strangely enough. So that's how I view the world. Continuing onward, fair use, fair.
How much you read of the book or anyone read it, but the book on black and white, Richard Williams, that is. Cotton taught me to steal, and I was a great thief during my days. I became a thief because of my best friend at that time, Lil Man, was killed. So I took off where he left off from. And in the process of Lil Man getting killed, he was killed by some white people, and they said it was Ku Klux Klan, from what I understand. And during those days, they would take out what is called a axe or a hatchet and chop your hands from your wrist and run chicken wire and hang them up on the fence. And they tied his nose behind him and hung him. So I thought I would take up from what he did.
This is essentially terrorism. I mean, what black people had to deal with by way of the Caucasian power structure, but in particular, the ugly arm of it, that is the Klan. Now, I'm not even going to say their full name, but he's talking about what happened to his friend and what they did to him and how they would do. Somebody clicked off. What what they would do to black folks. So the moment I said that and started talking about that, somebody clicked off, but we must continue onward. So there we go.
And be a little smarter and a little wiser. And that's what taught me to start writing better plans of life. And from those plans, I've been writing plans ever since. So the cotton fields made me really a great person.
Your book, I mean, delves in.
So, essentially saying that his friend's passing inspired him to continue, fighting onward and, become something and do something with his life. So.
And to the extent of racism, can you just share a story from that time to give people an idea of the depth of racism that you faced?
I faced racism to the point that I got beat up by the time I was 5 or 5.5 years old. But I've been taught better. But I guess I went against what I had been taught. In those days, you could never put money into what they call the Caucasian or the white people's hands. So I put the money in the guy's hand. He said, "You nigga," and he jumped on me and beat me up and threw me out in the streets. Well,
White man,
yes,
beating up a young black boy.
yes, 5 or 5.5. Well, that was the first time I ever seen my dad take off running. And I didn't know he could run so fast, but he left me there. So I had to learn to run myself, and I did. And so death was.
What's interesting is that story that he shared about, a grown Caucasian male beating him up as a black boy, where he grew up in Shreveport, Louisiana. It makes me think about, Emmett Till. And very recently, the case, the powers that be in the federal government closed the case on doing further research. And there's the impetus and the energy to get that reopened because some critical information and documentation has been found that the law enforcement officers and, certain aspects of the federal government said that didn't exist. And so there is a warrant out for that woman who accused Emmett Till of making gestures and harassing her as such, him being a black boy and her being a Caucasian grown female, and how these things tie together because, Shreveport, Louisiana is not that far from Mississippi, where Emmett Till was killed. And yeah, it just came up for me as he's talking about, and as the interviewer made that statement and asked that question, of just grown men, grown people taking advantage of black children. And that's what is going on now, but especially in the South back then, it was a way of life, unfortunately. So, whew. Fair use.
One of the episodes there that you might look at. And black people have always been a persona non grata, I think, in the South, especially South where I came from. I was told once that the guy was picking cotton for Mr. Joseph. He said, I'm not going to pay this boy because this boy didn't do nothing but ride on your sack. He told my mom. And I said to myself, I'm going to get my pay. He may not pay me, but I'm going to get it. So I got my pay. But in the process of getting the pay, I guess one of the white farmers that he had there, two of them, shared with him that I came and stole his cotton. And he was going to make a great example of me. So the next day when I was in the field, he came up on his big horse riding with a whip. And I had prepared myself. So when I threw the snake on the horse threw him off and stepped on him. But I couldn't go back to his field no longer. So those are some of the things that
Oh no.
I guess
We
one of
gotta
the
hear that again.
white farmers that he had there, two of them, shared with him that I came and stole his cotton. And he was going to make a great example of me. So the next day when I was in the field, he came up on his big horse riding with a whip. And I had prepared myself. So when I threw the snake on the horse threw him off and stepped on him. But I couldn't go back to his field no longer. So those are some of the things I experienced that I thought was
Retribution.
humongous.
She wants to laugh.
You were determined
She wants to get
to make a better life for yourself. You moved to Chicago, later to California. You work your way up. Why are you laughing?
In Chicago, I wanted to go to Chicago so bad because I was so tired of being called names, jumped on, and having to run so fast, and sometimes, getting killed almost, and house set on fire. I thought I went to Chicago, it'd be different. And my mom told me, she said, son, I don't care where you go, it's gonna be the same for you. You have to learn to expect things from yourself, not what people's gonna do to you. And she taught me that I had to be rough, I had to be tough, and I had to be strong. Just no matter where you go, it's gonna be the same. I couldn't see that. But when I went to Chicago, it was worse Chicago than Shreveport, Louisiana. And so that's why.
You see how, there's this false perception that, the South was horrible, which it was, as it pertains to the treatment of Black people, Black and brown people, Black indigenous people, but focusing in on the foundational Black American, that it was horrible living conditions, horrible treatment, not being treated as human beings, being treated as property, as less than human, less than animals. And so that's a lived true reality. The thing about it is there's the perception that was pushed that the North, or that we know that the North is less racist. It's more liberal and more accepting of Black people. There's more opportunity there. The economy up there is less based on slave labor, but, more on industry and other ways of being. So if you go to the North, there's better opportunity, which overall was true in comparison to the South. However, is not even exceptions to the rule. There are several examples of that potentially not being the case. I mean, the Midwest, did plenty of, lynching of, Black men and Black people. It makes me, and that's what King Richard Williams is talking about when he went to Chicago is even worse than what he had experienced in the South. You're thinking, a big quote unquote city in the U.S., not even just in the North in a smaller city, but a big city such as Chicago, one of the few premier cities in the Midwest, being just as worse as Shreveport, Louisiana. That's amazing to hear. It's just like we're taught that, slavery didn't really exist in the North. Well, no, the African burial ground that is based in Manhattan, New York, gives plenty of proof of what was going on in the World Trade Center, Wall Street area, where you had enslaved Africans who were working and trying to create a legacy for themselves, and they were buried in that region as well. And so, New York is considered the financial capital of the world, definitely of the U.S., and where the World Trade Center and Wall Street is located is an African burial ground, and that's why the national park and national monument of the African burial ground is located where it's located. It's a big thing. I'm not going to go heavily into it right now at this moment, but it was a big situation that took place about 30 years ago. Speaking about 30 years on tour for Venus Williams, and me watching tennis for just over 30 years, and the whole African burial ground situation in New York happening about 30 years ago. So something in the air. But saying all that to say that the misconception that there wasn't mistreatment of Black people in the North and that there wasn't enslavement and just horrible treatment is just not true. And it's more than exceptions to the rule. And that goes to the point that Mr. Williams just touched on in saying that Chicago, him experiencing Chicago was even worse than what he experienced in Louisiana. So let's continue onward. Fair use.
Before I was laughing, I never thought Chicago would be that way from the things that had been told about Chicago.
So you moved to Chicago and then later to California. And all this time, you're working your way up in a number.
Well, technically, he moved to Saginaw, Michigan at some point when he left Louisiana. And that's where, because Serena Williams was born, the youngest of the 5 sisters was born in Saginaw, Michigan. My apologies. I don't know why the screen stopped sharing. Let's get back to that. Pardon me. Here we go. Thank you for tuning in. Please make sure you like, subscribe, share, click the notification bell. It's greatly appreciated, as I'm sure you're learning something from this or getting some form of entertainment or edutainment. So it's important that you show such in your support.
Drive came from, or where does that all come from?
From my mom. My mom taught me that. She said, baby, we as women, sometimes we forget to think, or we just don't think. She said, but when we start thinking, we're the best thinkers in the world. It doesn't matter what problem we have, we're always able to think our way out of it. She said, always watch me and watch any woman see how they perform. And she's right. A woman can think their way out of anything. And that's what made me who I am today. It's because of my mom taught me about how women can think. I said, now you still a man now, because we had what we call sisters down there. I guess they call them. So I said, don't become that, but you just think like a woman. I guarantee you'll be ahead. And she was right. A woman can think so well.
Now, that term that he just mentioned, if you caught it, if he said that today in an interview, the program director, the interviewer, the network would catch a lot of heat and a lot of flack. Even though he's speaking from a historical, context and talking about an actual conversation that happened between him and his mother. So interesting times that we're in to see how drastically the world has changed and how quickly it is changing.
But the act is frightening. And so that's how I managed to be so successful, obeying my mom and watching other women.
And
I wonder what his comment. I wonder what his relationship was like with his father. Because he didn't talk about him that much in this particular interview, if I recall correctly.
Your ambition for yourself and your family, I mean, you had such strong ambitions for your children. You write in your book that you had a plan to train your 2 daughters, to be tennis stars, even before Venus and Serena were born. And I mean, where does that idea come from?
Let me tell you something here. I remember one of the girls so bad until someone said to me, well, how you know you're not going to have a boy? I said, oh, no, that'll never happen. I'm having a girl. And I did have a girl, too. But here's the catch to it. My wife one day went to had a baby at Linwood Hospital, California, Los Angeles. And while she was there, she didn't have a baby. I had to take her home. And the next day I went back with her. It seemed like every day she had to go, but no baby. Well, one day I was sitting there and I started screaming and yelling as loud as I could yell. And so the doctor came out and said, don't get too excited. She hasn't had the baby yet. But I wasn't excited. I was scared simply because I realized I didn't want Venus to have the same problems that I had in the system there in America. So on the way home, my wife said, there's some fools out there yelling real loud. Did you see who it was? I wouldn't say anything. But I made myself a promise I'll never be afraid again. So yes, I planned their careers long before they were born. I started planning the Venus career of money-wise before I could pay her way through tennis. And I planned her education.
Oh, did they cut the stream? Shucks. Come on. Come on. Really? Oh, that sucks. That's sucky. That's really sucky. Okay. Let me see. Well, not sure if you all can still hear me or still see me. But let's do this. Let's see. Oh, that sucks.